Good morning, everyone. So, what's been going on? Can we say CNN? Okay. So, let's talk about CNN. Pure propaganda. That's all I can say. It's just pure propaganda. I'm so blown away by it. It's like terrorist attack after terrorist attack after terrorist attack after terrorist attack after terrorist attack. And you guys are engaging in propaganda to make it look like the attackers are not as bad as they are. But, like, what the fuck? Like, this ideology that is so damn toxic that it continuously radicalizes people over and over and over and over and over again. That with terrorist attacks all over Europe, in the United States, in Asia, in Australia. Basically, I think the only continent not affected by terrorism is Antarctica. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Just think about that. Because this is a fucking problem in our world, is Islam. I don't have a problem with Muslims, not individual Muslims. It's like, if you are a good person, if you're doing the right things, if you're behaving like a civilized human being who isn't off killing people, who doesn't hold those regressive ideas, well, first of all, I don't know why you're a Muslim. But second of all, I don't have a problem with you. If you want to call yourself a Muslim, God only knows why, but if you want to call yourself a Muslim and you're not a violent piece of shit, I'm fine with you. I don't care. Like, live your life. Shop, eat, drink, wear your hijab. I don't care. If you're not violent, cool. If you don't want to hurt people, cool. If you don't agree with people who want to hurt other people, leave Islam. That's all I'm saying, is like, and you look at Islam from, like, the get-go. And, like, other religions, you have other ideas that are also circulating around. There's a series of principles that are competing to figure out which one's the highest. And like, in Judaism, from my perspective, the highest is the state, right? Or the nation. The nation, the tribe, whatever. That's the, or the group of tribes, the 12 tribes, right? Because there's 12. And you look at Judaism, it was all about survival, it was all about keeping the community together, it's all about civilization and cohesion and stuff like that. And that's why you have, even into like modern Europe, you had like groups of Jewish people who were secluded in their own little communities, because keeping their culture and their traditions and stuff like that. Culture was like king, right? They weren't necessarily violent. Some of the stuff in the Old Testament is, of course, violent and very regressive. I would guess that, you know, the modern Israeli people are not like that at all. And they're still Jewish, right? That's like the primary thing. It's not only a religion, it's a racial thing too. So, and if you look at that, you're like, okay, that can lead to some really shitty stuff, but as a survival method, it makes sense. You know, you have a very strong devotion to culture and to your race. You're going to survive as a people, right? And that's the only way that they've been able to survive, being exiled and enslaved and diaspora and all this other shit. There's still a fucking Israel after 2,000 years, you know? Like, there's an Israel again. Okay. And then like in Christianity, the principles are like, well, Jesus laid out the principles. He's like, here's the rules by which to live by. Love God, love everyone else. He didn't say obey God, by the way. He said love God. And when you love somebody and they're like above you, you want to obey them. It's just a natural result. So yeah, a Christian being like, oh yeah, I'm going to obey the commandments of God. It's not because they're like, the religion's like, you have to submit. Although This is a big criticism of Christianity, that the evangelicals would come in and try to impose rules and moralistic ideals, and that, you know, the Christians in the 90s, they were anti-abortion and all this crap and all this moralistic stuff that are arguments, like legitimate arguments. Not the motherfuckers who are out there like bombing abortion clinics. That doesn't fall in line with Christianity at all. And that's the difference, right? That's the difference between Christianity and Islam. Christianity teaches, love your enemy. You don't blow up your enemy to show them that you love them. You blow up people you hate. Hate means kill, right? That's what my history teacher in 12th grade told me. My mama said, never say hate. Hate means kill. And Christianity is based off of the opposite of that. Christianity, if you want to talk about the principles of the ideology of Christianity, at least from my understanding of it, it's essentially, it's love. Jesus was like, love God, love your neighbor, love your enemy, love, love, love. And then Paul comes along and he's like, love is kind, love is this, love is that. I mean, you can look up, you know, the quotes. There's a particularly famous quote that Christians love that Paul has done about love. Anyway, just love, 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 and giving and compassion and sacrifice and all these things that are associated with loving other people. Part of love is obeying somebody who is hierarchically above you by choice. But it's a choice. It's always a choice. In Christianity, it always has to be a choice. Always. And or at least from the way that I understand it. And maybe my understanding is a little bit off, but this is my understanding of Christianity. And, you know, it is a choice. You always hear, God's knocking at the door, you just have to answer. That's what you're told in church, you know. It's the perfect example. In Islam, it's, Allah is going to kick down your fucking door and kill you if you don't submit. Yeah, that's Allah's version of it. Christian God's like, hey, you want to come hang out with me? I really miss you. Like, we should be friends. Like, come have a connection with my son, and then I'll save you. You know, you can have a connection with me through my son, and you'll be saved, and everything will be great. That's the Christian God. And it might even be a little bit of, yeah, sorry about the rules that I made before. Those were shitty. Those were really shitty. Here's some better rules. Here, these are better principles to live by. And Islam's just not that at all. There's no choice in Islam. Islam is you convert or you die. And if you're a Christian, you either convert or you are basically enslaved. You can exist in a Muslim community, but think of this, you have to give them like half of your income. You have to give them a portion of your wealth. You can't upkeep your religious institutions. You can't build any new churches. You can't maintain anything. You can't grow as a population. You're completely oppressed by these people. And these motherfuckers think it's a good idea to bring Sharia law to the United States. Oh my god. And so then when, you know, like CNN does this shit, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make the ideology look better than it is. And it's a fucking terrible ideology. Because when you look at, like, I talked about the basis of, like, Judaism and Christianity. Look at the basis of Islam. It's submission to Allah. And when you have something like that that's not based on higher principles, like Christianity, it's based on love. And through love, you obey. And Judaism, you obey because that's what your culture needs to survive. But the survival of the culture of the tribe, that's the important thing. It's all about survival. And in Christianity, it's all about love. And in both of those situations, you have to obey God. In Islam, it starts off with submission to God, Submission to Allah. Submission, submission, submission. So it's not love Allah and therefore you want to submit to him like it is in Christianity. It's submit to Allah. Allah is mighty and merciful. Submit to Allah. Or he's going to kill you. I mean, according to Muhammad, Allah was kind of, you know, fickle. He could decide to send you to hell for no reason, essentially, you know. You never knew if you were actually going to get to heaven. The only surefire way to get to heaven, of course, in Islam, is to go blow yourself up with a bunch of infidels. Or you know, take them out while you're going out with them, you know. That's one surefire way. It's like, oh my God. And they think that's submission to Allah. It's a terrible ideology. And the propaganda that CNN is propping up is not even, it's not necessarily to like say that what the terrorists did was okay, but it's trying to like make the rest of the population completely innocent from what has happened in their community. So they bring together a group of people who look very, very Islamic, women in hijabs and a man with a turban and a big beard, and they give them these signs, and then they get in from their camera and they're like, oh, hello, look at this beautiful scene. All these people coming together for a candlelight vigil. And look, they're holding signs. Look at the signs. And the signs, they have hashtags. They have hashtags. Look at that. Hashtag stop terrorism. Hashtag I'm with the victims. Hashtag London. Oh my God, what a heartwarming story. Look at all these brown people. They're doing such a good job holding the signs. Like, look at them. They don't stand with the violent people. Islam's not violent. What? No, you're just bigots if you think, like, look at this group of people, peaceful Muslims standing right here holding signs. Like, come on. How can you hate this group of people? You're obviously a racist bigot who hates brown people if you do. Oh, yeah, I mean, come on. That's the narrative. That's the propaganda. I mean, it's literally to make them look like they are more peaceful than they are. And the big thing is like, they don't want you to know that, like, a huge portion of the population is against homosexual intercourse, sex, marriage. I mean, why do you think in Muslim countries men are getting thrown off of buildings for having intersexual or homosexual sex? Why do you think that's the case? It's because Islam is intolerant to gay people. One of the biggest threats to the LGBTQ community is Islam. And these motherfuckers are the ones supporting it. It's the craziest fucking thing to me. And the other part of it is, like, there's a huge portion of Muslims in these communities who actually support the terrorist attacks. They support the terrorist attacks. Huge portions, huge numbers. They might not go commit the violence themselves, but they agree with the violence. They agree with the goals of the violence. Maybe they just want to live their lives, but they want to see Islam progress through those violent, terroristic ways. They want Islam as the ruling situation. And you know what? It makes me feel really shitty for the people who came here like 20 years ago and were like expecting it to be free of Islam and all that bullshit and nasty ideology and stuff. And now they're fucked. They're fucked because and you know what? There's so many different sects of Islam. That's the other thing too. We're not bringing in just one sect of Islam. We're bringing in so many different sects of Islam. We're bringing in just shit you know, we don't know who we're bringing in. We really don't. Not into Europe. The U.S. is a little bit better off, I think, because we spend, from what my understanding is, we spend more time trying to integrate people into the community. I think there's a little bit more dispersion because we're a bit bigger area and we're not taking in as many refugees as the entirety of Europe. So we don't have quite as big of a problem with these insular communities, but they're happening. They're still happening here. Like in Dearborn, I think Michigan, there's a huge population of Muslims, and they're very insular, and they're protected. And you know what? I don't feel comfortable with isolated pockets of these people living together, not interacting with the rest of our culture. It's like, okay, well, what's the difference between that and an Amish person? Well, the Amish aren't blowing us up. The Amish actually don't like technology, so they wouldn't touch a bomb in the first place. And they don't think God wants them to kill for their beliefs. I'm pretty sure the Amish are pacifists. And if they're not like full pacifists, they're not a problem. They're definitely not a problem. They just kind of want to live their lives and farm and so on and so forth. And continue their traditions and so on and so forth. But the Muslims, because their ideology is so violent, and I'm talking about the Quran, I'm talking about the Hadith, I'm talking about, there's another one, I cannot pronounce it. I know what the name of it is, and I can think of it, but I cannot pronounce it. So you just, I don't know how you keep defending these people. I don't understand it. From this point on, I'm assuming you just think these people are fucking stupid or something. You think that these people don't understand what's going on. You think that these people, and you think that we're stupid too, because you think that we don't understand what's going on. You think that you can get away with staging fake news story after fake news story after fake news story, and then we're still gonna buy your bullshit, CNN. No, we're not. It's crap. It's like, okay, you're telling me that this is the religion of peace, and that there's all these good Muslims out there, but you can't even find a legitimate scene of Muslims protesting terrorism. You have to stage it. How fucking pathetic is that? If these people were actually against the terrorism, they should be out in fucking droves protesting it. They should be hunting down these people in their own communities. They're not doing that. They're allowing these people to flourish and survive. And they're feeding these people the ideology that makes it so goddamn terrible. And you want to know why there's so many goddamn terrorist attacks right this moment? Right now? Why they're all happening right now in this month? Or in these groups of weeks? It's because it's Ramadan. For those of you who don't know, because you don't know anything about Islam, Ramadan is not actually fasting. Ramadan means that you sleep all day, essentially. You wake up in the night, after your wife has been cooking for you all day, you gorge yourself and party, pass out, maybe eat a little bit more before you go to sleep again, and then you sleep all day. That's what Ramadan is. And then during the month of Ramadan is when a lot of terrorists like to go blow the fuck out of themselves. They'll go have one last blowout, maybe whore around, drink some alcohol, rape a few women. Who the fuck knows? I'm exaggerating. I have no idea what they do. And then they come out and they blow themselves up for Allah. So that they can get to heaven for their 72 virgins. This isn't a lie. I'm not lying to you about Islam. This is what Islam is. The whole ideology is based on conquest. The whole ideology is so perverted because the idea of submission to Allah is so easily corruptible. It's like, okay, Why are you submitting to Allah? What are the ideals that you're following? Well, the ideals that have been provided by Muhammad is that you're going to go out and conquer. You're going to rule with terror. You're going to conquer. You're going to be made victorious by terror. That was Muhammad. Muhammad was like, oh yeah, it's fine to go fuck little girls. It's fine to marry a 6-year-old and have sex with a 9-year-old. Oh, that's fine. Oh yeah. And then at the same time, let's have the little girl follow me around and clean off cum spots off of my my robes and shit. Oh, it's disgusting. And this is their fucking prophet. Like, when did Jesus do something like that? Jesus was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wash the feet of a prostitute. Oh, so terrible. Jesus was like, no, don't attack the Roman soldiers who are about to take me into custody and kill me. Even in, like, Apocrypha texts, like, I know bits and pieces here and there about other stuff, and sometimes I get it mixed up with the actual text. Either in the Apocrypha or the actual biblical text, one of the Roman soldiers gets their ear cut off by one of Jesus' apostles, and Jesus heals the ear because Jesus was like, no, this is not the answer. Don't do this. We're not going to attack. And then Jesus willingly goes with them. Okay? There's nothing like that in Islam. Islam is kill the infidel. Islam is beat your woman. Islam is patriarchy. Are you feminists? Feminists. Feminists! Look at me! You want to talk about the patriarchy, talk about Islam, talk about how men are beating their wives, talk about how young girls are being raped, talk about how they're being mutilated, talk about how small children are sent out with bombs attached to them into busy marketplace to go blow themselves up. Talk about that. Talk about the gay men being thrown off a building. How about that, you LGBTQ community? Talk about that. Talk about the fact that marital rape, completely fine, legal under Sharia law. Having sex outside of marriage for a woman, though, she'll get stoned to death. She'll get stoned to death unless she can prove it's rape. She can't prove it's rape unless she has another woman or a man stand up for her. If she has a man who's like, yeah, that was rape, she's probably fine, although they might still stone her to death for being raped. I mean, it's a worst fucking religion out there. Makes women cover themselves head to toe in the most oppressive garments I've ever seen in my entire life. You know? And that's what the ideology is. That's what it teaches. It's a really, really, really shitty ideology. And I cannot believe that this is still a discussion that we're having. That this is still an argument that we're having. That it's not just clear to people Islam is a bad choice. Islam is going to lead to nothing but the destruction of our society. And you know what? Those Muslims who were in the clip with that the CNN staged, do you think that they actually like agree with those signs? I don't know. Maybe the vast majority of them did. I'll give you that, because there are peaceful people out there in every religion and every ideology. But I gotta be thinking there was at least one or two who was like, oh, these stupid Westerners. You have no fucking clue. And, you know, to act like that and not be truthful, that's actually part of Islam as well. That's called taqiyya. And taqiyya is when Muslims actively lie to your face. And they pretend to be your friends, and they pretend to be your allies. And in the end, it's to progress Islam. It's to make Islam a global religion. And just dominate everything. So if you support rape, support Islam. If you support terrorism, support Islam. I'm not talking about ISIS specifically. I'm talking about Islam, the ideology itself. Because it's a horrible ideology. Your prophet is the worst fucking cunt in the universe, from what I can see. I mean, there might be people who are worse, like maybe like Jeffrey Dahmer or something like that, but like, or Jack the Ripper. Even that, no, I'm gonna go with Muhammad. Muhammad's the worst person on the planet, because he's still actively killing people. Day after day, Muhammad's still killing people. Yeah, your prophet, still killing people with his words. Year after year. Century after century. Day after day. Christians have fought and died for their ideals, but Jesus didn't tell them to go do that. I guess that's the difference.